Hello everyone. So today we have one of our guests, that is Miss Joyce, who has come here to actually ask us a lot of questions about how MBBS in Russia is one of the most amazing opportunity, as explained in the earlier video. So now let's actually ask her some of the questions, because I thought if I can put this as a program, it is not only going to be helpful to her, but it's also going to be helpful to you. So as I said yesterday, please do get a pen and paper, note down some of the questions that she is asking. If it is helpful to her, it is obviously helpful to you as well. Okay ma'am, sure, let's start with the program. So you had some questions about MBBS in Russia and why I called it as an amazing opportunity. So please do ask your questions.
Thank you. So starting with Russia. So why is Russia a good destination for MBBS?
See, first of all, let's actually talk from the Indian standpoint of view. Obviously, Indian education is good and we all are well versed here. But what happens here is, as I said yesterday, 238,000 people actually write the exam. But after writing that exam, everybody, that is almost about 2 lakh people, will have aspiration to do MBBS in India. Now the biggest problem is the total availability seats is 1,06,000. After that also there is 55,000 government seats and 50,000 private seats. But if you actually just do a small comparison, almost 50% of the people will not be able to pursue MBBS, even though they have their aspiration from childhood that they have to become a doctor. Now first, let's actually think from a standpoint of a student. A student wants to continue their education without any break here, because wasting their years is also not going to be useful. If you actually consider the fee structure in India versus to MBBS, you can actually feel, when you look at it from a government seat standpoint of view, obviously maybe Russian universities might actually look as a costlier option. But if you actually compare it to any of the private seats, then Russian MBBS looks very affordable to you. So what I would suggest is, don't have a break here. Don't have to spend too much out of your pocket. Don't have to bear with too much of loans. You can actually switch on to MBBS in Russia. Once you come back, you can write a small exam and you can actually become a doctor and roam around with here being a doctor.
Right. Okay. So what about the marks required for
Okay,
admission?
so good question that a lot of people actually come back with such kind of questions. So however, see, let's actually look at our qualifying examination here. We write NEET exam to basically qualify for our MBBS here. Now what Russia has done is, they have recognized this and they are also saying that if NEET exam, if you can score approximately 150 to 163, any general merit students can easily get admissions there. At the same point of time, they do also have some kind of consideration for our constitution, which is actually identifying some reserved category like SC, ST, OBC candidates. If they actually score somewhere around 125 to 150, they still consider them and they actually give you the admission. Now let's actually ask the other question also. Is there some of the universities, will they do any kind of entrance exam? There is no probability, because some of the universities just consider our NEET exams. So you don't have to worry about anything, just focus on your NEET. Now after this, our NMC, that is National Medical Commission Gazette of 2021, states that if you have scored in 50% and above in your physics, chemistry and biology and English in your 12th standard, you are easy to get an admission. So don't have to worry about anything. It is very easy to score around 150 or let's say 140.
That's great. So what about the language? How is it difficult to learn there? We have to speak in English or Russian language?
Yeah, this is another question that most of the people have, because we all travel abroad and we have seen people talking in their own language. When it comes to education, our NMC Gazette, that is National Medical Commission, which is there in India, what they have suggested is, any university who is accepting foreign students out of India, they have to teach in language English. Now you might ask me, the next question may be something like this, that will I have to just be with English, or will I have to ever learn Russian language? So let me just give you that clarity as well. The total program is for 6 years. Now the 6th year is basically an internship which is going to be conducted within the college, which is part of the program. Now what happens here is, anybody who goes through this course at the last year might have to deal with local patients, treating them, having a conversation, improving their communication. So what these universities have done is, they are actually going to suggest us that the first year, second year or third year will be giving you Russian classes. So you can easily learn talking among anybody here. How do we all learn languages? Once we look at a movie or anything, we actually learn languages, but once we start the conversation, you actually get good with it. So a lot of Indian students over there have already gone there, studied Russian language, completed the course, came back to India and continued doctorate here. So learning Russian is never a challenge. Don't even worry about it.
So, what's like how to travel to Russia?
Okay, see, that is something which is very easy. So it is hardly around 6.5 to 7 hours of journey in an aeroplane. So what I would suggest is there are so many airlines which actually operate today, but we have a direct flight also to Russia. Now, if you ask me the next question also, like, once they go there, how will they ever come back and all that? Every year there will be a 2 months gap. In this 2 months gap, people might actually come to holidays. They can actually do so. It is just about 7 hours of flight. Once you take it in Russia, you can come back here and you can go back there also. Very easy, very easy. Don't even worry about all this.
So in Russia, is it quite expensive? How are the fee structure?
This is one of the most important questions. People are afraid because when you say national, people always think that like, okay, we are going international. Obviously, the rupee value, dollar value, and all this. Let me just give you a clarity with the most affordable education also, which is available in Russia. Why? See, they have a very rich history and culture. Now, what happens because of this is, if you actually compare our expenditure here, if you actually go with the government seat, it is almost about 1/20th of the cost that what we will spend here. But if you actually go to a private seat here, that is in India, you will actually spend more than 20 times of what you are actually paying to a government seat. But if you just compare our private seat, okay, to look at Russia, you are actually spending 10 times lesser than what you would actually spend in a private seat, going to Russia, finishing off your exams and coming back. So what I would still say is, they have the technology advances, they are actually giving good education, quality education at very affordable cost. So I would say, don't even worry about the cost. If you are actually thinking about private institutions here, you can actually pursue good education in Russia for a lesser cost compared to private. Of course, if you compare it to government, it will always seem costly.
Right. So how is the living expenses over there?
Okay, see, out of the pocket expenses, I would say, because the reason is, anybody who travels from India to Russia for continuing their education, what we would suggest is the fees actually cover their hostel facilities, their international mess, anything food, anything, everything is already covered within the fees and it's already taken care of. However, obviously you will travel, you will meet people, you might actually go to a park, you might go to a movie or whatever it is. So I would suggest anybody around 5,000 to 8,000 rubles. Now, the minute I use rubles, you might actually get confused. It's almost like dollar of US. But if you just do a comparison of currency, it is 1 rupee 6 paisa of Russia is equal to our 1 rupee. So I would suggest that, hardly you would actually need about 9,000 rupees per month as their expenses. And that for an international student is very, very cheap, or I would say affordable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And as you said, everything is included. How about the ragging? Is there any ragging happening in colleges?
This is one more, like, whether it is in India, whether it is outside, people always have this question. So even Russia have very strict rules against ragging. They do have anti-ragging squad which has already been allocated, and they do have all kinds of security measures taken care. Indian students, the senior students I'm talking about, are very welcoming because they have gone through the experiences, that they know that you guys have come to a different country and all that. So ragging, believe me, it's not at all easy for anybody to do ragging. I would not say completely 100% avoided, but I would say 99% taken care of. Second aspect I would actually like to add on my own personal experience that I've seen is, most of the people, when they actually see another Indian, they actually get more friendly once they're outside. Once you are in India, you will never have a respect for another Indian. The minute you are in US and you see another Indian coming up using any Indian language, you will start hugging him. You will say, hey, you are from India, I am from India. So this is the same experience what students also will have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. My next question would be, how about the food? Like, is there an Indian food there or the same?
This is again one of the common questions as well. See, because most of the people are afraid that how are our kids or anybody who's going to be like, how are they going to eat and all that. So let me just give you clarity. All the Russian universities respect our Indian food. Some of the universities already have international mess and all that within the hostel facilities, and we have already the list of colleges which actually have this kind of international facilities and all that. At the same time, some students, maybe female or anybody, who already knows cooking, they would say, you know what, we will just cook it within our own hostel. They do have those kind of facilities also. So you don't have to really worry about missing out any of those chicken masalas or any of this. You will always get Indian food there also. So don't have to worry about it.
So, can you just highlight me more about the fee structure?
Okay, so I guess what you're telling me is the budget, the total budget, when you
Yeah.
compare to an Indian or, any kind of foreign expenditure and all that. So let me just give you clarity about that also. See, when you actually start with Indian education system to an American or a Russian, education system, how we look at it is, totally you can complete your MBBS in Russia for 16 lakhs, 20 lakhs, 30 lakhs, 40 lakhs, 50 lakhs. Now, you might ask me, why is so much of a range? Because the facilities, what is available in different colleges, or extreme temperatures may be one of the concern, or is it on the main city, that is Moscow, or any countryside? All these factors get included. So we have made a list of, all the universities and what is their fee structure, and we have the list completely ready with us. So what I would suggest is you come out with your budget. You tell us maybe in the chat, or you just give a call on the below number suggested on the video to basically ask that this is the budget that I have. Can I actually still pursue it? So there are some universities who just accept around 20 lakhs as your expenses for your total budget, because that also includes your education, your hostel facilities, your visa, and your insurance. Everything is taken care within 20 lakhs. But at the same time, as you actually look at multiple colleges and all that, you will see a variation in every different universities. Any of this cost that I'm trying to say, travel expenses are not part of it, because travels, you can take any flight that you wish to. You might take any international flights or any local flights and all that, which you could go to Dubai and come back there. So all this, if you actually look at it, I would suggest 20 to 25 lakhs is a decent budget to start off with.
Okay.
Yep.
So, will your company also help us with loan?
Absolutely. So last year, what I would give you a small example is a lot of students actually were, having this aspiration to complete MBBS because they did not want to spend too much for a private seat here, or some did not qualify, NEET exams, which is getting our education seat here. Now they came up to us and said, sir, we have all the required documents and all that. Why don't you help us with the loan? So what we did is we connected them to some of the nationalized banks here who actually have affordable loans with affordable interest levels and all that. And yes, bank follows their own procedure. We don't get involved with it. Once we get our approval, we'll share the admission letter, so that once we get the approval, we'll complete the admissions and we come back. So it is what we do is we already have the list of bank numbers and all that. We'll suggest you that you can talk to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, in that case, we need to make the full payment.
See, let me just give you that advice as well. A lot of people, let's do a small comparison, okay? Then we will actually get the numbers. 2,38,000 people have written in 2023. In 2024, the numbers obviously will increase because the population also keeps increasing, aspiration keeps increasing, economic status of people keeps increasing and all that. So what happens is a lot of students write an exam. Out of that, if you have seen the percentage of seats available, that is 1,06,000 and 5,000 getting adding this year, even then, not even 50% are able to get it. Now the other 50%, if they feel that, okay, this is something that I want to take it up, because MBBS in Russia is a good opportunity to take it up, then it is very, very easy. Okay, so one thing is we will actually look at your qualifying, your educational and all that. Once we get you all the details, then it is your decision that, it is very easy to go do MBBS. And what I would suggest on a personal note is a lot of people have done it, a lot of people have completed MBBS in Russia, and they can come back. So don't waste a year and don't worry about too much of loans and all that. We will help you out.
So what is the eligibility to get into Russia?
As in MBBS in Russia?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me just start off with a thing. One is 10th standard, obviously everybody would have done. Second thing is your 12th standard or your second PUC, as in state syllabus and all that. Here in physics, chemistry and biology, as well as in English, you should have scored above 50%. So once you are actually scoring that, you are actually qualifying. However, you have to write NEET exam whether to qualify to Indian or Russia. Once you write your NEET exam, we look at all these documents, compare it, and then we say you can easily get admission if you have scored 160.
Okay.
150, 160. Every year it keeps changing. There is a new notification, so please do check with us every year.
If you can also tell me what are the documents required?
Okay, so I get the point. So maybe once you are talking about the documents, I think what you're saying is while the admission, what are the documents required?
Yes.
Okay. See, what are the documents normally that we also follow in India? Similar, they also follow. One is like, whether you're 10th standard, SLC or 10th standard, it's the same time second PUC or 12th standard marks cards, because in physics, chemistry and biology as well as in English, you should have scored 50%. They also look into it. At the same point of time, they also ask you to basically give you the NEET examination results. Some of the Indian, that is, follows that we have PAN card, then we have our own Aadhaar card. Such documents are required which can actually identify that it is you and it is unique to you. So these documents are required to basically complete your education. If you are going for a bank loan, then yes, bank approval letter will also required. We will give you the admission letter before the bank letter comes in so that we can submit it.
Okay.
Easy as that. That is none of your concern. Your concern is only to study. We will take care of all that. Yeah. Go ahead, please.
So in that case, if you can just highlight more about the mess or maybe the hostel facilities.
Understood.
Hostels. Yeah.
Okay, so let me just give you a brief background of how a hostel facility is going to be there. So any university, we have approximately about 1,000 students who actually stay there, 1,000 international students staying in that particular hostel. Mainly you will find Indians there, so you don't have to be concerned that other countries and all that. Mainly you will find Indians. International mess will always be there. Every room will have the TV or fridge or any of those. Every room are also connected with heaters facility, because whenever it is cold, it is not easy to study, right? So they will have heaters. At the same point of time, when you are traveling, hotels also have heaters for all this cold temperatures. But yes, we do advise to have warm clothes, and you can pursue your education without any kind of hassle.
Okay. So after MBBS, is it easy to get jobs in Russia?
See, that's one of the important questions. Most of the people feel that, okay, let me just take this part as a two questions. Okay, so the first question is, will I get a job in Russia? Once you complete your course, okay, that is, let me just tell you the way the course is actually done.
Yeah.
First 3 years, that is first year, second year and third year, they focus more on theory. So 70% you can say as theory, 30% as practicals. In the 4th, 5th and 6th year, what they do is, in the 4th year and 5th year, they will actually put more of practicals, that is 70% practicals and 30% theory. The 6th year is going to be more of internship, where you will get a real-time experience treating patients, talking to them, understanding their problems, working under some expert. So this kind of course is actually going to be taken care of, right? This is the way that the course is actually designed. After completing this, you can actually appear for a small exam where you can actually from Russia, because you also know Russian language now, because you are conversing people, understanding their culture and all that. So you will write a small exam and you can become a registered doctor. Once you become a registered doctor, you can easily get into any of the hospitals in Russia or anywhere in the world. Your examination, anything, because any of the colleges or universities that I am talking about, they are already recognized by World Health Organization. Okay, and the same time, once you complete this, now what happens? You want to continue in Russia, you want to continue in Europe, wherever you go, there will be a small test that you will have to pass, and once you pass it, you can get a government job in Russia, or you can work under a private hospital, or you can open your own hospital in Russia. However, most of the people, that's why I said I'll take your question in two parts. Most of the people, what they do is they want to live with your parents and all that. Indian culture is different, right? We don't actually believe in American culture, where after 18 years we'll just get into another room. So what happens is, most of the people after completing there, they would like to come back to India. So what our National Medical Commission has done is, they give you a small examination called FMGE, that is Foreign Medical Graduate Examination. That is conducted by NBE, and it is called National Exit Test also. So once you pass that, you can also get here as a doctor, serve under any medical facilities, whether it is government or private or your own hospital. So don't even have this kind of questions that after MBBS will I be able to get a job or not. No, because the scarcity of doctors is a noble profession, right? The scarcity is very high. In India, I don't know the exact numbers. What I can tell you is, for every 60,000 people, there is said to be one doctor. So I don't even have to get into the details how scarce this kind of profession people are. So it is easy, yeah.
So education, which is better, sir? India or Russia?
See, if you ask me on a personal opinion, then I can actually say Indian education is always better. But you don't have to have any kind of concerns towards Russia, because Russian education, that is medical education, is 8th in the world. It is ranked 8th in the world. They have the technology advances, and Russia is obviously technologically well advanced. So if you actually get a seat in India, that is government seat, believe me, you are the most luckiest person, because you have competed against many and you have got the seat, which is very affordable, and your parents might not get into any kind of loan burden. So I would always suggest Indian education is better. But let's take an example. You are not able to get through the government seat. Then what happens? We are talking about, in India, if I can actually talk a cultural issue, right? Parents want their kids always successful. So they are ready to sacrifice anything. They would actually sacrifice their land, they're sacrificing their houses, they'll put it under loan, and they'll get heavy loans for education sector, and they will spend it across you. But to recover that, you might actually spend about 3-4 years or 8 years or 10 years as a doctor. Now, comparative to that, if you are not able to secure a government seat, and if you are actually thinking still to continue MBBS, then I would suggest make use of this amazing opportunity where you can do MBBS in Russia, because it is going to cost you less than, I would say, 10 times to 15 times lesser than what you would actually end up spending here, because there is no capitation fee in Russia. There is nothing called donation in Russia. You can actually go there well settled. You already have your seniors who are Indians, who will be always like your family, supporting you in every angle, and you can easily feel that you are along with your family because of technological advances which has happened in India. That is, Zoom call, or any kind of WhatsApp video call and all that. You are actually going to be with your family for the entire year. So there is nothing called missing out and all that. Like earlier, people used to write letters, right? So there is no letter system here. Just pick up your phone and just call your family, talk to your mom, talk to your dad. Just focus for 6 years, finish off your MBBS, come back, and you can actually be a doctor for the rest of your life, which is basically good lifestyle, good money and all that.
So last but not the least, can you give me more information about the security for the students?
Okay, so let me just wrap it up. Okay, so in this question, I would suggest think like this. If you are in India and you are actually going to be studying in your own city, then it is good. But let's take an example. The total seats available here is 1,06,000. So people might have to leave their town even after getting a government seat or any of private seats. You might have to leave town and go elsewhere. So most of the people are worried about security, whether you are in India, whether you're outside. So I would suggest just compare the same situation. So if you have somebody here who has to travel from one city, let's say you are from Bangalore, you have to travel to Kashmir to study. Parents are concerned, right? It is almost similar. Now, what are the universities have taken the security measures is, first thing is anti-ragging squad. So inside the college, you're always safe. But yes, any country for that matter is not crime free. So what we would suggest to any of the students who are traveling from our thing is, you basically follow all the instructions given by our agency. Study Palace Hub has already put a complete compliances you have to follow and all that, because we have an agreement with the university who will actually tell us, okay, this is something that the student not do, any do's or don'ts. So we just ask you to just follow that, just follow all your instructions, you are always safe. Of course, if you are actually trying to do something which is not suggested, then yes, you might get into trouble, but at the same time the college also has all kinds of rules and regulations to follow. You just follow that, nothing to worry about security.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for all the questions that you have answered.
Absolutely.
And I think it will really help me to get into the universities. I will contact you further for more details if required.
I'm sure most of the people who are listening to this video, right, there is not only these kind of questions, there are about 100,000 questions which might be your neighbor questions, father's questions, mother questions, so many questions. Our agents are already trained for the entire instructions which has to be given to you and how you can easily complete MBBS in Russia. So below numbers, you just have to give us a call and express your interest, and we will ensure that you are always safe, do your MBBS, pursue your dream and complete your aspiration. Thank you so much for listening.